Everyone, welcome back to our fantasy endgame community. Thanks for joining us as always. I'm Pierre, he's Chris, and we're here to give it our bust picks for week 12, guys that we think might sink your team. So let's get into it. Chris, give me a guy who you're not going to count on.
Well, I'm not counting on Myles Gaskin again. Like, the Jets came through for us in week 11, got him a very nice fantasy day because that's just what the Jets do. It's not the Jets in week 12, it's the Panthers. They're pretty good against the run. They're pretty good defensively all around. And also, there's this interesting thing going on with Myles Gaskin if you look at his game logs. He's alternated a good game with a very bad game every week of the season. And this is a bad week. I know maybe that's not the most analytical, deep dive analysis right there, but I'm going to go with it. And it's also the Panthers, a bad matchup. So I'm off Myles Gaskin this week, back to the bench.
Hey, look, patterns are reality, right? That's just the world around us is made on pattern. Okay, so a guy that you probably kind of have to start, but I'm expecting a down week, and that's George Kittle of the 49ers. I know he's got a touchdown in 3 straight games. I think this is the week that streak gets snapped because the Vikings, their opponent, not a fearsome defense, but they've only allowed 1 touchdown to tight ends all season long, and their top 10 defense against tight ends, with Elijah Mitchell probably coming back and the run game being reestablished, Debo and Ayuk being a force. I don't think they're going to really rely on Kittle in this game. There could be a lot of points scored. I just don't think Kittle's going to be the guy that's involved very much. I'm just not going to count on him being a top tier tight end in week 12. All right, who else should we count on letting us down in week 12?
Yeah, another guy that you probably have to start, but I think will let you down, is Darrell Henderson. Going against Green Bay, who ranks 9th toughest against running backs. They just held Dalvin Cook to 3.5 yards per carry. This Rams team just wants to throw the ball. He's only had 16 total carries in the last 2 games, so he's not really getting the volume. Yes, he'll catch some passes to at least give himself a decent floor, but I just don't think he really has any ceiling in this matchup. Probably going to need to find the end zone to really save his fantasy day in this one. So again, you probably have to roll him out because there's just not a ton of running backs that you can rank ahead of Darrell Henderson, or you could start ahead of him. But just be prepared for a down week.
It's just weird what's going on there. So I agree that matchup is definitely going to be tough for him to produce a lot. Now, you know, one of my guys is Damien Harris, and I'm not backing off of him completely, but I am this week. First of all, I have to admit, Ramondre Stevenson is eating into his workload. I don't think it's a strict timeshare there like it was last week. I know they basically touched the ball the same in week 11, but I think that's a lot to do with the fact that it was a short turnaround. Harris had been in the concussion protocol, didn't get a lot of practice in. I still think this is Harris as the lead runner, but he's just not as much of a lead dog as he used to be. But here's the thing, the matchup against Tennessee, the Titans defense, one thing they've done is really limit running backs, which is why they've been winning. So 6 straight games, they have held running back groups to under 75 yards. Even if you just had one running back and you say, oh, he's only gonna get you 75 yards, that's not too much. He's pretty much gonna be touchdown dependent. Now you got 2 guys who are splitting the carries here. You can't count on either one. So I don't feel really good about this matchup. Harris, especially not being a prolific pass catcher, I'm fading him and I'm benching Ramondre Stevenson outright this week. All right, let's keep going with another bust.
I mean, it's been pretty busty for A.J. Brown the last 3 weeks anyways. Left week 11 with a chest injury, although x-rays thankfully were negative, so trending towards playing. I think if he does play, it's going to be another bust week for A.J. Brown. I get it, kind of like Darrell Henderson, George Kittle, these guys, you have to start them. But this Patriots defense is playing on another level right now. And you know, what is Bill Belichick good at? Taking away your best weapon. And A.J. Brown is really the Titans' only weapon. Don't love A.J. Brown in this matchup. Sure, he's probably going to get force-fed a ton of targets, but that doesn't mean it's going to result in a huge fantasy day. So once again, prepare to be let down by A.J. Brown. Now, the good news is after this matchup, his schedule gets very easy. So if you can live through this one, I think you're good rest of the season with A.J. Brown, but week 12 may be a struggle.
Yeah, that Patriots defense is shockingly good. We didn't think that the team would be as good as it is. Guess who else might have a down week? I think it's going to be Odell Beckham. Yeah, sure, he had the week off to, kind of learn the playbook and integrate into this offense. It's not that easy. this offense still runs through Cooper Kupp. And I still think that Beckham is going to have a hard time getting on the same page with Stafford, okay, especially against a defense that is pretty good at limiting receiver production. So I just don't feel like it's weak. I can trust Beckham. For the most part, I don't feel like he's going to even be a top 40 receiver, so I'd have to be kind of desperate to start him. So I'm going to wait another week. Eventually, yes, he'll be fine, but I just don't think this is the week. All right, one more bust for week 12. Chris, who you got?
You know, we normally don't consider quarterbacks boom bust, but Justin Herbert has been the definition of boom bust this year. 4 times he's finished as a top 2 quarterback. Every other game he's finished outside the top 10, and 6 times he's finished outside the top 15. So coming off a huge game where he threw for a ton of yards, threw for touchdowns, and ran for a ton of yards, people are just going to think, okay, he's a solid locked-in top 5 quarterback. But I don't think he is. I think this is going to be one of those weeks where he finishes outside the top 15 because Denver is a very good defense, and reports are Bradley Chubb should be coming back. The only quarterback to finish inside the top 12 against Denver is my man Jalen Hurts. They've held Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Derek Carr, and every other quarterback to finishes outside of the top 12. I don't think Justin Herbert finishes inside the top 12. I don't think he finishes inside the top 15. He's going to bust in week 12.
All right, I like the boldness there. So you talk about a quarterback coming off a big game. I'll see your quarterback, and I'll go with Kirk Cousins, also coming off a big game. He's kind of been on a roll. The last 3 weeks, he's had 8 touchdowns, and going against San Francisco, it's going to stop. Because this San Francisco defense looks legit again. I just don't think that they're going to have that same level of success against San Francisco. Also, I think this game might get a slower pace. San Francisco, you know, they're not necessarily a team that wants to play at a fast pace. So I feel like this game is not going to favor Minnesota putting up a ton of points on the board. So Cousins has been good, but in this matchup, again, he doesn't have that rushing up cycle like a Jalen Hurts to save his fantasy day if he's not putting up big numbers through the air. So Cousins is a guy I think that you can also count on being outside the top 15 and fade this week. All right, guys, so besides our videos on booms, busts, and must starts, we have a lot of other ways to help you win throughout the season. Look at the description below and check out all the information on that. Thanks for watching.